So, let's talk about something huge, something that has shaped generations of people, the American dream. But, in the 21st century, what does that dream even look like anymore? Let's get into it.
This is the classic picture, right? The one we've all seen in the movies, the one that was sold to our parents and our grandparents. It was this simple, stable formula for success, all built on predictability. And really, it became the foundation of an entire era.
But for millions of people today, that picture feels, well, like a faded photograph from a time they just don't recognize. The stability seems gone. The formula feels broken. So the big question we're digging into today is what on earth happened? All right, let's start with the cornerstone of that old dream, owning your own home. For decades, it wasn't just a place to live. It was the main way families built wealth, built security for the future. Now, what's really wild about this slide is just how stark the numbers are. Think about it. 30 years ago, a typical house cost about 3 times the average salary. Makes sense. Today, it's 7 to 10 times more. The math it doesn't add up anymore. And this is where you feel the emotional shift. When something gets this far out of reach, it stops being a goal and starts feeling like an impossible fantasy. The goalposts haven't just moved, they're in a completely different stadium. And hey, even if you're not trying to buy, the squeeze is absolutely real. Rent is going up, and when half your paycheck vanishes on day one just to keep a roof over your head, there's almost nothing left to save or invest or, build any kind of dream on. Okay, so let's move to the next piece of the puzzle, the world of work. The promise was always so simple. If you work hard, you'll get ahead. But does that promise still hold up? Take a look at this chart. It tells such a powerful story. Over the last few decades, American workers have gotten way more productive, and corporate profits have just soared. But then look at that third line, wages. They've stayed almost completely flat. So the crucial point here is that the rewards from all that hard work just aren't flowing back to the people who are actually doing it. This quote just captures that feeling perfectly. It's like you're running on a treadmill, working harder and harder just to stay in the exact same place. Now, let's add another layer of financial pressure to the mix, one that previous generations mostly didn't have to deal with, the crushing weight of student debt. 45 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many Americans are starting their careers not at zero, but deep in the red. We're talking about a massive part of the population, burdened by debt for a degree they were told was essential for success. This slide really shows how the role of higher education has been completely redefined. What was once seen as the great equalizer, the golden ticket to moving up in the world, has for so many become a financial anchor that just holds them down for years, even decades. And that's the reality. It fundamentally changes the game from day one. It's almost impossible to save for a down payment or invest for retirement when a huge chunk of your income is already promised to a decision you probably made when you were a teenager. So after looking at all this, unaffordable housing, flat wages, crippling debt, it's really easy to feel pessimistic. But maybe the story isn't about the dream dying. Maybe it's about it transforming. And that leads us to the big question, right? Is the dream really over, or has it just changed into something totally new, something we don't recognize yet? Look at this comparison for a second. The old dream was all about stability, pensions, the certainty that came with ownership. But the new dream? It's defined by totally different values. Flexibility, the hustle, and basically swapping certainty for a kind of determined hope. It's become less about owning things and more about surviving and finding freedom wherever you can. To put it simply, these are the new trade-offs. The guaranteed pension from your job is gone, replaced by a portfolio of side hustles. The pride of ownership has often been replaced by the practicality of just renting, and that bedrock of certainty has basically eroded, leaving hope to fill the void. And this, right here, this is the core of it all. This isn't a story about a generation that's lazy or doesn't want to work. It's a story about a fundamental breakdown in the social contract that said your effort would be rewarded with security. That link seems to be broken. So this leaves us with one final really powerful question. If the old dream is gone and the new one is still kind of taking shape, what comes next? History shows us that America tends to reinvent itself in moments like these. So the real question isn't whether the dream is dead, but what we're all going to build in its place. What will the next American dream actually look like?